At a creature effects workshop in Hollywood, California, something has escaped. This animatronic abomination is a danger to anyone in its path. The only way to stop it wreaking havoc in the city, to distract it with movie news, discussion, and reviews. Moviesaurus Rex!
Welcome to the Moviesaurus Rex Podcast with your host, Hooch. Introducing special guest host, Bruce. Hello, Bruce.
Hello, everyone.
Brilliant. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Hooch. How are you?
I'm not bad. I'm good. I'm glad to be recording again. It's been too long.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being part of the show.
Yeah, so Bruce is like a friend of mine, a close friend, and he's been helpful enough to offer himself as a guest host while Tom is away on holiday. Tom will be back soon, but in the meantime, it's me and Bruce. So
where is Tom at the moment?
I think he's in New Zealand at the moment.
New Zealand, oh, okay.
He tells me nothing, but yeah, I think it's New Zealand. That's the last place. He just went to where they did Lord of the Rings, like, and The Hobbit and all of that sort of stuff. Right. He just visited all around there, like the sets and the locations and things.
He actually went to them?
Yeah, he bought like a Lord of the Rings ring, like an official one.
I want to get, even though I've never seen the films, I want to get me one of them.
It's like made by the people that actually made the ones for the film as well. So it's like, it doesn't get more legit than that, does it? Like, you know.
Do you reckon he bought two? That maybe I can have the one that he's not going to use?
Definitely not. Definitely not. If anything, he bought one to throw one away, you know? bought two to throw one away, even. But yeah, he's back soon. We've missed him. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And then once he's back, I think the show's going to become a lot more regular because logistics aren't an issue anymore. But yeah, Tom isn't here today. It's me and Bruce. And today we are going to discuss what we've seen recently and a little bit of film news. I'll tease it now. We're going to talk about the Rogue One trailer at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. Just a little side note, you may notice that the audio quality isn't quite as good as it normally is, because we're talking over Skype. Not that our audio quality is decent anyway, but today you might think it's worse than normal. So don't worry about it. It's not a permanent thing. It's just because of how we've set it up to record through Skype. With that out of the way, let's press on. What have we seen recently, Bruce? I'll let you go first.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Hooch. Well, I mean, the last time I went to the cinema, I went to see Revenant.
Tell me about it.
Okay. It's a story of... yeah, it was... I mean, I was one of the probably one of the last people to see it at the cinema. I think I got to it just before it left screens. And
sometimes that's the best way to see a film, because then you've got no one else around.
Yeah, but in this day and age, what happens is you get to the cinema... You know, you want to go to a film, you've left it a while, you finally get round to it, but before then, you've had all these people talking about it.
That's
literally,
true.
As soon as the film comes out, these days, you've got no choice. Either you just cut yourself off, you know, not have any sort of communication with the outside world to not spoil it, or you go and see it first thing. Because all I kept hearing about was, the bear scene, and it's Leon on his back and crawling around for the first hour and all this sort of stuff. So I just wanted to watch it with none of that in mind. And I you know, when it started, I just forgot all about that. I just tried to concentrate on the film.
Mm-hmm.
My verdict is it's a fantastic film. I mean, there's many reasons why I like it. First and foremost, it's original. It's, you know, it's a story. It's a true story of you know, this guy Hugo Glass, this explorer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a book. You know, it's not.
Well, it was a book, wasn't it? I think.
Oh, it was?
I think it was a book, but obviously like adapted from his story, so
okay,
it's not a piece of fiction anyway. Let's put it like that.
All right. Well, either way, it's original. I've not seen this story or even this type of story been told before, and I'm a huge champion of completely original work. So for me, on that side, I was always on its side, you know, so to speak.
Yeah. I think what I liked about it is the technical achievement, like the logistics of filming in those locations with that environment, doing as much as you can for real. I'm very much behind that sort of practical sort of side of filmmaking.
Again, which doesn't happen that much anymore.
No, no, exactly. So that makes this quite unique.
To be congratulated, yeah, completely.
The fact that they still bother doing things like this, you know, when they don't necessarily need to. They could have just done it all in front of a green screen and like got some plates of nice mountains and stuff, but they went, no, we'll go to the base of these nice mountains and like film it with the natural lighting and all the rest of it. I was just gonna get onto that, the whole natural lighting. The cinematography in this film is something else. I mean, it is immense. Mm-hmm.
The natural locations they have, the scenery, the shots they use. For me, what I really love is the movement of the camera. You know, when you watch it, it's like whatever's going on, you know, in the scene.
Yeah.
The camera isn't just locked off and then you know, cutting back and forth between two characters or something.
It feels
the camera is like alive. You know.
Exactly.
It moves it backwards. It moves forwards. If Leo's looking at something, it will look where he's going. It will look where he's looking, and then it will look back onto his face to get his reaction, and he'll move back, and then it will follow him, and then it will rotate behind him. I mean, it was so like, I get that because obviously the director, and how do you say his name again?
I think you're better at saying it than I am. I think I'll butcher
Alejandro Iñárritu.
With a Gonzalez in the middle. I can say that bit.
I know him on a personal level, so I can call him just by his first name and his surname.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously haven't seen Birdman. Like, I could get it. I could see. Have you not seen it?
I've still not seen Birdman, but this film's made me want to go back and obviously watch that.
You really should. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it's all done in one take." Okay,
well, obviously
it's not.
Take, yeah.
No, well, no. But the ambition and the attempt to do it like that with the camera moving like that, it just adds something to it. I can't really explain it. It's just so much better than cutting.
And it also means like you can tell that the DOP or the director has like really thought about each shot rather than got to the location with a camera and gone, how should we film this? You know, they've gone to the location and gone, right, the camera's going to swoop in here. We're going to see this happening on the ridge, and then it's going to go back to the trees, and you know, all that sort of business. Like
completely. I mean, organisational wise, you've got to set everything, and then the camera moves. You can't. Yeah. You can't just sort of do that and then right, let's move on to the next thing. Everything's set, and then the camera moves through it, and then it will capture everything. Technically, organisationally, you know, it was an achievement of the film.
I think the fact that it doesn't cut too much as well, it makes you sort of forget that it is a film, which sounds ridiculous because obviously you know it's a film, but like that while you're watching it, you sort of get engrossed in the environment that they're in and the story and all the rest of it, and you sort of forget that you're just sort of watching a film. It feels more immersive, if that makes sense. Like it's less synthetic because it's not being as heavily edited, or it doesn't appear to be anyway.
I mean, the other major strong point with this film is the performances. So obviously my boy Leo won gold for best actor, finally.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm incredibly happy for him. He deserves it. He could have easily won it for Gilbert Grape back in the day because his version of that character was unbelievable, and he was like 16 when he did that.
Something like
that. And I really wanted him to win for Wolf of Wall Street because I thought that was brilliant. When you really look at the character of Hugo Glass and what he did with it, you probably have to say this is the best performance of his career because there wasn't all that much dialogue. It was all in the acting.
Yeah.
And I think in a role like that, it is very difficult to show off in a way, like because
actors sort of dream of these sort of roles, don't they? When they can really show off their chops rather than, I don't know. It's a challenge, isn't it, to be able to convey stuff without necessarily using the words put in front of you. You know, you've got you're just relying on your acting.
I mean, Chris Nolan said the same about, like, say, Tom Hardy in Bane, because although, you would hear his dialogue and that, most of the acting was done with his eyes. Yeah. He had the mask on, and he said Tom Hardy's very good at that. And speaking of Tom Hardy, his performance in this, for me, was phenomenal. Yeah. Like, I know he got Oscar nominated, I think
supporting actor,
Best supporting actor. And I think I was saying this to someone else the other day. I reckon this is the start of Mr. Tom Hardy getting offered and certainly taking roles that are likely to be, also consideration, that type of character, that type of role, but for leading man.
He's not done a lot of leading stuff, has he? I mean, obviously there's Legend and there's Mad Max and all the rest of it, but he sort of seems to be stuck in that sort of supporting actor category for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the type of person who also gets his own stuff made. So I think I'm not saying he's going to go out there and try and do the typical sort of Oscar films to get an Oscar or to get any award, but I certainly think after The Revenant, he pulled off a flawless Southern accent. Like, he pulled off this villain character really, really well. He's not someone you hate, but you look at and think, the character, Fitzgerald, I think his name was.
Yeah,
you look at and you just think, God, you're a piece of work, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just not a team player.
You can, I mean...
You can, okay, you might be able to sympathise with a few of his intentions and, certain things, but he seemed very cruel and very sort of single-minded. He seemed like a kill or be killed sort of person, and the sort of character that will shoot first and then ask questions later.
Yeah, and you can see the motivations behind that. Obviously, like, spoilers, like when he reveals his is it like his bandana or something on his head. Yeah. You can see that he's been like scalped or something.
Yeah, so it's something like that. He's
part of
his hair. Yeah,
exactly. Part of his scalp is missing, and then that like sort of shows that he's been through some shit, and this is the result of that. Like, it isn't just he's evil for evil's sake. It's like, no, you can sort of see why you might not agree with his motives and his actions, but like you can see where he's come to that conclusion from.
Yeah. But going back to what I was saying, I would certainly like to see Tom Hardy do the sort of roles that will get him a lot more awards recognition. Not for the sake of it, but purely because I think that's where he is in his career. Mm-hmm. I think he could very easily do the sort of roles that people look at and think, yeah, let's get this guy an award. I know
what you mean. My only worry is that people will go and see this film and like be expecting an all-out action adventure romp or something, whereas it isn't.
I mean, there are some great scenes in this that for viewers that want set pieces and all this sort of stuff. It's not on a comic book superhero movie type level, but it's. I mean, the shootout scenes, that the first scene,
very good opening.
The finale scenes. Yeah. I mean, they're spread out, but it's a good film. It's a journey film as well. I mean, it is long. It's like 2.5 hours. I thought the final shot. I'm not going to. Spoil it. I thought that was really poignant, and I thought that was quite a brave thing to do. The final shot. I mean, imagine if you heard about it before. You might think, "Oh, that's a bit whatever." That's a bit. But the way it was going on when it got near the end, I did think, "How is this going to end?" I hope whatever the final shot is, I hope it doesn't disappoint. And it didn't. Like, if you think about it, the way the film ended, it was reflective of the themes of the film.
I totally agree.
I thought it was really, really good. Because it is about man's relationship with nature and how we see our position in the grander scheme of things, and how we treat each other and all that sort of stuff. It's reflective, and it was a great way to end it.
If I had to have a criticism of it, the way I like the camera movement, sort of immersive, and sort of made you forget that you're watching a film. Sort of counterpoint to that is the fact that there are a couple of things that I really sort of didn't like. One being...
You didn't like the... like when he breathes, you could see it on screen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, there's a shot that goes really close up, and you can see him breathing, and then his breath's on the lens, and I'm like, that's just reminded me that I'm watching a film filmed with a camera that has a lens, like all that sort of stuff. I think that sort of took away from it a little bit. I would have enjoyed it a lot more if...
Did you notice that blood went on the lens as well?
I didn't notice that. No,
didn't. Oh, I think when Hardy's fighting someone,
right,
he does something, and blood goes on the lens, and I'm like,
oh, okay, I forgot about that. But like the breathing thing really sort of stood out for me. When that happened, I was like, oh, why'd you have to do it? Like that seemed on borderline pretentious to me. But like, I'll forgive it because of how good the rest of it is. My other criticism is like the use of CGI animals, like. They just don't look very good. The bear, like, I'll speak generally. I don't like the animals in general because I think they all just look too standoutish from the rest of the film. Like, you've got these beautiful backdrops, and then you've got these CGI animals that don't look particularly convincing a lot of the time. But obviously, you've got that scene with the bear, and because it's such a prominent part of the story, that really sort of shines through a lot more. Like, you can really... you spend like a couple of minutes with that bear, and you see it close up, and it's moving, and all the rest of it. It just sort of amplifies how fake it looked, if that makes sense. Like, I would have rather they just sort of gone the Jaws route and like did it as practically as they could with puppets or animatronics, and then like touched it up with CGI to make the movement a little bit better. And
I mean, that's what they do with Jurassic Park, right? The first Jurassic Park.
Yeah, something like that. Like the technology is there.
Because nobody watched Jurassic Park and thought, okay, I know dinosaurs aren't real or they don't exist now, and I can't suspend my belief enough to watch this film and not laugh out loud. Like, everyone watched Jurassic Park and
they managed to sell it,
real dinosaurs. Yeah,
but this is just a bear. Like, this is something that we have access to even now, but they've like gone, no, we'll just make it completely CGI. And they could have just sort of been very selective, like, and careful. The way they was careful about filming the whole rest of the film, they could have just been like, right, if we show it this way from this angle and then cut to this, and then you don't need to show the bear completely all of the time, but you still get across that this thing's like mauling the shit out of Leonardo. We could have like been close on Leo, but we still know that it's getting, it's sort of mauling him. But that reliance on CGI and the fact that they showed it so much just sort of like really sort of took me out of the film. But I know, I mean, some people thought it looked fantastic. That's up to them. But like, personally, I would have rather if they'd have gone through the practical sort of route with it. But having said that, these aren't major criticisms. They don't like really sort of bring the whole film down for me. They just sort of take me out for a few moments, But overall, I did love the film. I thought it was a fantastic achievement in filmmaking. And you're right, Leo and Tom Hardy, they deserve the acclaim that they've been getting for this. I think all of the actors in general, they're all great. Will Poulter's great. Donald Gleason's great.
I thought he did. In particular, I thought Will did really, really well.
He's, it's been said for a long time, but he's definitely on the up and up, isn't he? He's definitely a rising star. We're going to see a lot more of him soon. Similar to like Nicholas Hoult, I suppose. That's the only other person I can sort of think of. Someone that started in very sort of low budget British indie, and then sort of broke through into the Hollywood system, and now they're getting bigger and bigger roles. I think I can see that in his future.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you mark it out of 10 if you had to give it a score?
Can we do decimals?
I don't usually go for decimals, but I'll let you do it because you're doing me a favour by helping me out on this show. Go on.
Oh, thank you. I want to give it an 8.9. Just because it's not a 9, give it an 8.9.
You just want to be a bastard. You just can't give it the 9. You're like, one decimal away from the 9.
No, listen, if someone said, round it up, go on, give it a 9. But if no one's forcing me to round it up, 8.9.
Okay.
Because leaves room for Revenant 2 improvement.
What would Revenant 2 be, do you reckon?
Revenant 2 will be...
Should it just be the bear again? Just like a spin-off with the bear? Yeah.
Just like going around killing people. No, it's
like how Revenant is like man's relationship with nature. The bear could be like bear's relationship with man.
Well, do you know what? Nobody really knows what happened to Will at the end of it.
That's true.
Like, that was sort of left, up in the air. I reckon Will turns into a Tom Hardy type character, the new Fitzgerald. And he's going to go and it's like, I'm going to kill everything. I'm going to kill this bear. I'm going to kill the native. I'm going to kill Fitzgerald. I'm going to kill Leo. I'm going to fucking kill everyone. Revenant 2, coming soon.
And that'll be his first starring role as well. So
exactly.
I would give The Revenant, I would say an 8 out of 10. I'm not as generous as you.
Okay.
Because of the reasons that I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for those things, I would say 10 out of 10. Go see it. I'm still saying go see it, but it's not flawless. I reached out to some of our listeners and followers on Twitter to ask what they thought about The Revenant. We got a tweet from Phil Amsel, and this is the quote: "It is the story of how much a man must endure to win an Oscar." If you haven't seen Revenant yet and you're curious, go see The Revenant for that reason alone.
I mean, again, I really hope Leo didn't win this Oscar purely because people are like, it's his time.
No, I don't think so.
I really hope it's because of one, what he had to endure on the shoot, and two, his actual acting on, in the film.
There are shots
it was
where
a career best, I think.
There are shots where like he has to jump into ice cold lakes, and and then there's the story that he's a vegetarian, but he decided to eat raw bison liver because it looked more authentic on film. Like just sort of those sort of personal. Those little things.
When he slept inside that horse, I was like, "Oh, Leo, poor Leo."
Sales of horse beds have risen dramatically since the Revenant.
That horse looked warm though.
Looked warm.
Yeah.
What, looked like someone else had slept in it?
No, just that, like if you carved out a horse and slept inside it, I reckon you're not going to be shivering in that.
Oh, warm! I thought you said worn, like as in it had been tattered.
I'm not having a go at the horse. I'm saying, I'm complimenting the horse's
it's definitely warm.
ability to keep the insider warm.
Definitely.
It's a good horse. Speaking of, at the start of the film where that guy shot that horse, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, there was no need for that.
I hope no animals were harmed. I know no bears were harmed in the making of this film anyway.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm just taking a second out from the show to let you know how you can support the podcast and help it grow. You can follow us on Twitter at MRexPodcast, like our Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube where we will post exclusive content as well as our regular episodes, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. You can get our merchandise from our Redbubble store. Just go to redbubble.com and search MRexPodcast. You can become a patron of the show and receive exclusive episodes via our Patreon campaign. To find all of the things that I've just mentioned, just search Moviesaurus Rex Podcast and look for the logo. And with that out of the way, let's get back to the show.
So Hooch.
Yes, Bruce.
What did you see recently?
I saw a little indie film called. Not really seen by a lot of people. It's called Batman versus the Superman. Dawn of Justice.
Is that one of them Cannes films? Palme d'Or.
Sure, it's been through the festival circuit. It's turned a few heads. Small-time director Zack Snyder. Not really big enough to know his name properly yet.
No, of course not.
He's no Inarritu. Let's put it like that.
Oh no, that was very nicely done. No, this is the biggest film of the year. This, isn't it?
Well, I think they wanted it to be. It is at the moment, but I think that's... Well, actually, is it? Is it the biggest film at the moment? Didn't Deadpool make more money?
Deadpool keeps making more money. I mean, Deadpool's done ridiculously well.
If I was more prepared, I would have looked this up beforehand, but you've thrown me a curveball with this fact here. So I don't know if it is the biggest film of the year, but I'm pretty sure once Civil War comes out, it's not going to be.
It must be a spring tentpole, right?
I mean, it made a lot of money on its opening week, but it's dropped off dramatically since the first week, like to the point that Warner Brothers is really sort of worried about it, and they're rethinking their whole DC cinematic or extended universe, as they call it.
Where have you heard this?
A Hollywood Reporter wrote a story saying that apparently Warner Brothers is thinking of shifting things up a bit. They've shifted the date of Wonder Woman forward. So that it doesn't...
As in it's coming out later or it's coming out earlier?
It's coming out earlier, 3 weeks earlier. It's not going up against Transformers 5. Now, I don't know why they thought going up against Transformers 5 in the first place was a good idea. That is $1 billion film right there. Once it gets to like overseas markets, you don't go up against Transformers, even though people berate it. Like, you just don't do it. So they were quite smart in like bringing that forward, sort of like mid-summer blockbuster fare.
Well, it's weird. It's weird that they never released this mid-summer.
I mean, they keep saying the blockbuster season is like sort of getting nearer and nearer towards spring.
Yeah.
I guess you could say like Deadpool is like part of that group of films, and look how early that came out.
But Deadpool's done well, hasn't it?
It's done well, yeah. Especially when you consider how much it cost to make. But this, unfortunately, cost a lot to make, a lot to market. It splurged all of its like audience in the first week. And then now it's just like dropping like a stone, so they say.
Okay, well, I haven't seen BVS. You have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can do spoilers.
Well, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers.
Okay.
If you don't want to, if you want to know literally nothing before you go see it, if you haven't seen it at this point, I would suggest skipping ahead by like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, if you don't want to see if you don't want to know anything, I would also suggest not watching any material that there is online, i.e. trailers.
Yeah, don't watch the trailers.
TV spots, and anything like that.
If you've managed to get this far and not watch a trailer, like, well done. I can't do it. I have to watch every trailer that comes out.
I watch everything. Everything.
Unfortunately, if you have seen the trailer, this is spoilers now. Well, semi-spoilers. If you have seen the trailer, you know exactly what happens in the film, because the film plays out exactly how that most recent trailer did.
With
the villain being revealed in the trailer. That is the villain in the film. There was no surprise. There is some surprise in the film. They didn't show literally everything, but for the most part, all the best bits are pretty much in that trailer. It's a weird one. I saw it about 5 days ago, and I'm still not sure how I really feel about it. My initial reaction was underwhelmed. Really underwhelmed.
Go with that then.
Well,
I think you got to go with the initial reaction until you can see it again if you want to see it again.
I think I'm going to have to, because when I saw Man of Steel, I saw it with you, didn't I? We came out of the IMAX and we was like, that was appalling. Especially when you compared it to the trailer.
To be fair, I haven't seen Man of Steel again since. I will give it another chance. I know you've seen it again and you had a complete turnaround.
Well, yeah, first time we watched it, disliked it. Second time I watched it, really liked it. I appreciated it the second time round. Third time I watched it, most recently, just before Batman v Superman, it's actually become like my favourite DC movie, I think, at this point. Even going up against the Nolan films, which is quite a bold claim, considering how much I love those. But, like, the last couple of weeks, I've really sort of gotten into it and appreciated it for what it is. And I'm like, you know what? It's very different to what Marvel's doing, which I think is half the problem that Batman v Superman's having. People are sort of comparing it to Marvel films, whereas tonally it's very different. And I think, honestly, Warner Brothers is taking a little bit more risk with these DC films, like going a bit crazier really early, whereas Marvel sort of tried to ease you in to like some of the more wider, crazy sort of stuff in the universe, you know? Like, we didn't get a Thor film until like a Thor film until like the fourth film into the series, whereas this one's sort of like, we're going to play catch up and we got to get you up to speed on what this universe is about. Let's just like throw everything in here, like, you know.
Well, I mean,
and it's a lot for the general audience to take in. I think comic book fans will appreciate it. Like, if you know your DC, then you'll probably be like, I loved it. I've got a quote here from Hot Garbage Podcast on Twitter. I asked people to like give their thoughts. They said 7 out of 10, good, not great, probably not for general audience, for comic book fans, which I think is a fair assessment. Like, if you're your casual moviegoer, I don't think you'll like this, because you're going to be tempted to compare it to like other comic book movies, whereas the comic book fans who like know the source material will be more like, oh, that was pretty spot on in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I mean, to follow on from Chris Nolan's Batman universe, I mean, he did it all serious. Marvel are taking their stuff a little bit more serious now. You know, the tone in terms of with Civil War and like the Russo brothers directing. Mm-hmm. You know, Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder, they had to do something different, didn't they? With Batman, you can't just carry on without Chris Nolan to do Chris Nolan type tone and that sort of stuff. So they did have to do something different. If you think about it, for Justice League, they have to introduce the likes of Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman. I suppose they do have to, go down the fantasy element a bit more and play on that. So,
I mean, they did it out the gate with Man of Steel. They went, the film starts in outer space, like an alien planet. Yeah. So you've got that bit covered. But like, obviously, you said like there's other stuff going on in the DC universe, and they sort of introduced that on the second film, Batman v Superman. And I think a lot of people won't go with it, and I think that's probably why it's getting a bit of a strange reception. Tonally,
it's getting panned. It is. It's getting ripped online by many. One person called it "Yawn of Justice."
Yeah, I think you got to think a lot of these reviewers, they've only seen it once as well. They might not be in the right mindset to make a fair assessment. They've got to review it as a film, but like obviously, I think the way a film critic might review it might be different to how like a hardcore DC fan might review it. Like they'll see different things that they appreciate about it.
Who do you think would have more problems with it? A reviewer or pissed off? Not pissed off. A reviewer or a hardcore Marvel fan?
I think a reviewer, because critics like to be the person to put something down as soon as possible. No, a lot of the time.
Well, it's their job. It's the critics' jobs to criticise.
Whereas a Marvel fan might have the standpoint of, oh, look at DC, they're trying with their second film in their series, but we don't worry about them because, like, you know, we've got like 12, 13 films under our belt at this point, and they're all pretty either good or great, you know. So it's a hard one to say, but personally, I'm still sort of struggling with how I feel about it. I know in future we're going to do a more sort of substantial review episode on it, similar to like our Star Wars ones.
I'm going to watch it next week.
Okay.
And then,
it'll be interesting. I'd like to see your thoughts on it. Hopefully, Tom will
the thing is, I go into every film wanting to watch it. I go in with a very optimistic view. I very rarely hate films.
I didn't go in wanting to be disappointed. You know, I went in thinking critics being critics. Let them say what they want, but like only I can say how I feel about the film. And I came out and I was like, I can kind of see what a lot of people are worried about. But to play devil's advocate, there was a lot I did like about it.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck was great as Bruce Wayne.
Not as Batman.
I don't think it's Ben, but I'm not really on board with this version of Batman at the moment. And if I said why, it would sort of go into spoiler territory. But if you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you've been online and seen the comments and all the rest of it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'm not on board with this version of Batman because of some of the things that he does in the film.
Well, I mean, people are making a big fuss about in one of the trailers, like at the end, with the whole, is she with you? No, I thought she was with you. And then you've got the three of them, and it's obvious that they've come together to fight some other enemy. But Batman's holding a fucking gun.
Yeah, I mean, in the film, that isn't what it looks like. Like that's not too bad. But it's interesting you said like the "is she with you" thing. People have said that this is a humorless film, and it actually isn't. There's actually a lot of jokes in this film. It's just because of the tone of the overall picture, it's just sort of downplays the humor a little bit, whereas Marvel, you know, tries to balance action with comedy, with, you know, all the rest of it. DC, like, there are jokes. I don't know where this mandate to have no jokes came about, but like there are definitely like a few laughs to be had in this. They're not like laughs that you'll come out of the cinema going, "Oh, do you remember that hilarious bit when da 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 da?" You know, there's nothing like that. But to say that it's completely, you know, dour and without joy, that's not fair. I
think what needs to happen is this film needs to be judged on its own merit, and it shouldn't be compared to the Nolan films, the Batman films before.
Yeah,
you know, this is the start. Well, Man of Steel was the start, but this is a continuation of a new world and a new set of films. And do you think Justice League will be good on this form? Because it looks like the same team, same director. It's going to be heading that up.
All I want from Justice League, and from all the DC movies at this point, is to just stick to the tone that they've set already. I don't want them to shift tone from one film to the next, because when it gets to Justice League, you can't have like a character that's been typically really funny with a character that's been really dour the whole time. It's just going to be like, it's going to have a weird sort of personality thing going on, like, you know, like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where like it wants to have its cake and eat it. It wants to deal with these really dark sort of themes, but then it also wants to have this really silly, hokey joke. Like, you just can't have that. I'm hoping they learn from other people's mistakes, but if they continue,
I suppose ultimately what I'm asking is, do you think Justice League will compete with Avengers? Because that's really what it's all about.
I mean, it is about that, like, on the surface, but I think at this point, Warner Brothers has to expect to not be as successful as Marvel at this point, because it's too late in the game. They're only just getting their cinematic universe off the ground, and it's at the point where people are talking about superhero film fatigue. So, you know, if they'd have started this maybe 5-6 years ago, they might have a better foot in the door. But at the moment, it feels like for them to expect the sort of numbers that Marvel's been pulling, they're just not going to be able to do it, especially with the reputation of the last two films.
So
like
I'm
how
guessing
mixed the
by,
reaction's
like,
been.
But by what you're saying, I reckon what you're saying is they should just concentrate on making good films, setting up the universe, and not even worry about what Marvel's doing or competing with Marvel or trying to outdo Marvel.
They should literally ignore Marvel. They should only worry about Marvel if they're gonna like tread on some similar ground that a Marvel film's already done. You know, like there's a villain being hinted at the end of Batman v Superman who's very similar to a villain that we're leading up to with the Avengers films. And
well, I'm guessing that's either Galactus or Thanos.
Yeah, so like there's like a Thanos equivalent for the DC universe, and if you know your DC comics, you know who I'm talking about. They're building up to that, which obviously Avengers is doing. So in that respect, maybe they should have like thought about maybe going a different route. But if I was Warner Brothers and DC, I wouldn't compare my sort of film franchise to what they're doing, because at the end of the day, they've got Disney behind them. They've got, like I've said, like a dozen movies under their belt at this point and a huge fan base. There's no way they can catch up. They can just hope that the people who like what they do keep coming film after film. And I think they need to be a bit tighter on their spending as well. Like, to spend as much as they're planning on spending the next few films, they're just sort of shooting themselves in the foot, because there isn't going to be a big enough audience returning film after film to warrant that budget. So,
but anything with Batman in the title, you are always going to get certain numbers, aren't you?
Yeah, people will turn out, but I think if Batman v Superman has shown anything, word of mouth can kill buzz like pretty quick now.
These days it can.
Yeah. So at this very moment in time, how I feel about Batman v Superman, I would say it's between 6 and 7 at a push, but that score may change when we get to the review episode, because I think I need to go away and watch it again like I did with Man of Steel to really sort of form a proper opinion on it. It's a really strange one.
Hey guys, this is Bill.
This is Phineas.
And together we're the Tattooed Bananas. We do a comedy podcast, and on our comedy podcast we talk about all kinds of wacky crap, like
nutscaping.
I'll tuck you in tonight.
Turning your funeral into a funeral.
Can I have an ice pop? Can I have a candy?
Dick fishing, furniture banging, and so much more. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and connect with us with the Potter and Family hashtag on Twitter.
Yeah, don't forget to check out the Instagram. Throw a bag of bagels at someone's head.
I'm just going to take a moment out from the show to tell you about Pod and Family. It's a collective of podcasts on Twitter that sort of support each other, help each other out, promote each other's shows. It's a great community. If you are a podcaster and you want to get more exposure for your show, simply use the hashtag PodandFamily, and other podcasts using that hashtag will retweet and share your posts and help you find new listeners, basically.
Wait, you did what to who for how many Oreos, Rex?
I sold an eighth of weed for 2 Oreos and a cupcake.
Oh, did you get fired?
Promoted.
Wow.
That's fucking amazing.
Alright, folks, well, I am Matt Siebert.
I'm Ryan Bennell.
I'm Midnight Smoke.
And we are the Mr. BS Show. We're a little show spread around the country.
Oh, we're 3 angry friends who are trying to take over the world. But we don't do it successfully too often, so we just try to make everybody laugh. But I don't do that too often either, so... Fuck you, Matt.
So you guys can find us at the High Altitude Pod Network, which is at thehighaltpod.net.
Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Damn right.
Thanks, guys, and come check us out.
Just going to take a quick moment out from the show to do some shout-outs to our fellow podcasters and friends of the show. We have Jupiter Boys Podcast, the Mr. BS Show Podcast, Turtle Power Pod, Tattooed Bananas Comedy, Storybreakers Podcast, Back Row Podcast, and Dinosaur Man Nerdcast. I listen to all of these shows. I can personally vouch for how good they are. If you like our show, you'll love theirs.
Hey, this is Jim Jupiter. And this is Quinn Jupiter. And we're the Jupiter Boys. And you're listening to Moviesaurus Rex, the podcast with Tom and Hooch. Hooch is crazy.
Welcome back. And now we're on to film news. We only have one bit of news, which we teased at the beginning of the episode. Basically...
it's been a slow week.
It's been a slow week, but, you know, something big happened. So we've got something to talk about. basically a new Star Wars film's coming out, and there was a trailer yesterday. What do we think? Star Wars? No, what is it called?
It's called
Rogue One.
A Star Wars story.
Because that doesn't sound horribly awkward. Why didn't they just call it Star Wars : Rogue One? Don't put the episode bit in there.
No. Got to be different. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This isn't Star Wars, a Rogue One story. This is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Get it right.
If you go to the cinema and ask for a ticket for Star Wars Rogue One, they'll laugh you out of the cinema. I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah.
So, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, starring Felicity Jones, Forrest Whitaker, who else?
Well, it's got my boy, Ben Mendelsohn, in it.
Oh, right, okay.
Beast of an actor, Australian.
I see.
Yeah. Who else?
It's got aliens in it.
It's got aliens in it. It's got creatures and like space types in it.
Space types. I like the sound of this. Full disclosure, you have only seen one Star Wars film, haven't you?
Who, me?
You've only seen one, I believe.
Yes, but I've seen 2 Star Trek films, so...
So it kind of balances out, really.
Kind of, yeah. I'm not going to say I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, but I watched Force Awakens and it intrigued me. I think your guys talked about it a few episodes ago.
Well, you know...
Well, you did the whole trilogy on Star Wars, didn't you?
Yeah, so we did like a 3-part mini-series on the Star Wars films, and in the Force Awakens episode, I talked about, a friend who I went to go see it with, who had never seen a Star Wars film before, and that friend was my guest host, Bruce, right here.
Yeah.
So, having now seen a Star Wars film, how do you feel about Rogue One? Are you excited?
Am I excited about Rogue One? It feels like a nice little film that isn't part of the main Star Wars franchise. Like
it might even be a good stepping on point for a lot of people.
Possibly. I think I've done the right thing. I think I've gotten at the right point.
No regrets.
I will, you've said to me to go back and watch the others, and other people have said don't watch the prequels, just watch the old ones or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try and watch them all, but I'm going to watch them in the order that people say, as in 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So old ones and then prequels. Force Awakens, it looks good. It looks different. It looks new. And from what I can tell, like I've asked people.
You mean Rogue One?
Fans,
You're talking about Rogue One, yeah?
Yes, Rogue One.
You said Force Awakens, didn't you?
Did I? I said Force One.
Okay.
I have asked Star Wars fans, like, see that Rogue One trailer, what do you think of that? And then, it looks good. And they start talking, I'm like, the context is lost on me because I don't understand the word you're saying. But yeah, I reckon it will be good for new Star Wars fans or new audiences that potentially could like Star Wars. Like you said, it could be a good jumping on point for them to become Star Wars fans.
How do we feel about Gareth Edwards directing it? He did Godzilla before this. Not a great film, really.
I haven't seen Godzilla. I haven't seen Monsters. I don't know the guy. I've got nothing against him personally. It's always good to see directors with modest starts getting big franchises or even just big properties to put their own spin on it. Mm-hmm. You have to wait and see. I mean, let's be honest, that trailer looked promising. It looked promising.
It did look promising.
That's all the teaser trailer has to do. It's got to intrigue you, interest you, and not leave you thinking, I'm not going to go see that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, I'm hyped to see that. But a lot of people who I spoke to watched that trailer and thought, yeah, I do want to go see that. I'm excited to see that. When's Christmas coming around, We're
sort of still on that like Star Wars excitement bandwagon, aren't we? So we're riding the success of Force Awakens.
And the music, it starts with the music.
Yeah.
When that trailer begins and ends with a dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. It is heavily playing on nostalgia, but at the same time, I think to see this new perspective on the Star Wars universe is quite interesting. Like, the way that they've decided to sort of show things, the way they've shot things, like the AT-ATs from the ground level, and they look massive, and he sort of gets scale right, I suppose.
What I love is there's that shot, I think towards the beginning of the trailer, and they seem to love this shot. Explosion, a stormtrooper sort of like flies away in a somersault, and he's always like upside down, and he flies away. And I'm like, man, they must use that same shot just over and over and over again. They love that shot. Just once, when there's an explosion happens, can they not just like fall? Why does it have to be a double somersault backwards? It's always the same.
Maybe there's low gravity on that planet or something,
Just sick of it,
Sick of it. Felicity Jones, great actress.
She's in the A time now. The A time. She's in the big time now. Not that she wasn't before, but she definitely is now. I think most people are quite happy to have her as the lead role in this film.
So yesterday the trailer came out, and within about 2 hours of it having dropped, there was already people speculating as to who she might be. Oh, she might be Rey's mother from The Force Awakens. Don't think that is the case, but it's interesting to see just this little teaser trailer, how quick people have already started the fucking fan theories, you know?
You know it'd be quite good. You know what sometimes I suspect actually happens, but obviously people never know about it and they'll never admit it.
Yeah.
So the people behind it, Lucasfilm and Disney, they will put stuff out there, and things could be one way, they could be the other, and then they put this trailer out, this teaser, and fans start to speculate. Now, with this day and age, when they start to speculate, it's not like they do it in huddled groups.
Yeah, no.
They do it online, they do it
public.
for the world to know. I reckon sometimes, and I'm not saying Disney do this or any other company do this, but you got to think, they must think about it. They must look at these things and just think, do you know what? These fans who know a thing or two, maybe they've got a point. I.e., say if Felicity Jones' character wasn't Rey's mum, imagine if they heard someone say, oh, it'd be great because it connects in this way and it makes so much sense and everything all works out in the end. They might, you know what? This crazy bastard over here actually makes a good point. Let's feed that in, but then not pay him or give him any credit, and then they'll look like genius. And, I got it all along, and they'll be happy, and the studios will be happy, and the audience will be happy. Everyone wins, but they didn't really think of it first. The audience have done it because honestly, if people are going to be so interactive, they're going to be like pouring their hearts out. It's like, I think the DC universe should be this, and I think Batman should do this next, and with Star Wars, there's definitely do this. Why shouldn't the studios be looking at it and think, do you know what? If this is what the people want, why not give them what they want?
I'm sure there is a degree of that. Like they must have ears to the ground. Like they must be able to see what people are second guessing and try and react.
Because let's be honest, in those days it used to happen with those little screenings. They'd make a film and then invite people in to do test screenings. I mean, they do it still with pilots and TV shows and stuff like that.
They still do it with films.
Instead of getting people in and being like, give them a free lunch glass, what do you think of this? Fill out this questionnaire. People are offering up their opinions.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that is still the case. It's just interesting. Like, The Force Awakens is one of those films in recent years, I've never seen so much speculation and theory around it.
I was speculating all over the place, wasn't I?
And
I was like,
you was.
That Darth Vader's going to come back. That Luke Skywalker and that Han Solo and the other guys are going to all be there. So
I mean, sure, you didn't.
It's going to be fun times.
You didn't know who they were, but you was already speculating as to.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think you said it in your one of your last podcasts. I think one of your friends said, "Oh, will he know who Darth Vader is and all this sort of stuff?" Well, and you said, well, yeah, he did, but not because, obviously, you've not seen it, but just because of culture and...
Exactly, yeah.
And obviously, I reference Toy Story with Zurg, but that's where I get all my information from.
That's your space opera, the Buzz Lightyear.
The whole thing with Buzz and Zurg was good for me, so... Well, yeah, if Star Wars took that from Toy Story, then, yeah, I reckon I could get on that board with that. There's
a rumour that Darth Vader is actually in this film because it's set before A New Hope.
Which one's A New Hope? 4?
The fourth, episode 4, but it's the first Star Wars film that was made. Apparently, people can hear his breathing towards the end of the trailer. I listened to it with the speakers really high. I couldn't hear it myself. Not to say it isn't there, but I couldn't hear it. I'm pretty sure he will have at least a cameo in it, maybe like a 5 seconds, or maybe he's even like a major character and they've just somehow managed to keep it all under wraps. I mean, Star Wars filming in particular is very secretive now.
It has to be.
Yeah, exactly. So, just because we don't know about it doesn't mean it isn't there necessarily. So it's going to be interesting how Disney decides to leak out information through trailers and posters and interviews and stuff between now and December. Like, how much fuel are they going to add to this fire? Or are they just going to do what they sort of did with Force Awakens and just take a back seat and be like, look, we're going to show you stuff, we're going to get you excited, but we're not really going to show you anything, really. Until you see the film, only then will you know what's really going on. Maybe they'll do that again. I hope they do that again, because that was like the best... I think The Force Awakens was like the best marketing campaign in recent years. Like,
it's got to be in it. It's got to be. I mean, toys were coming out just in time for Christmas, and obviously the film was then, but...
if they can just replicate that with this one, and have the audience know nothing beforehand.
But I just remember that time everything was Star Wars. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing some sort of Star Wars memorabilia.
And it'll be that again this year, I think. It'll just be like let's face it, like they moved Episode 8 to December after this one, December 2017. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Disney just wants to dominate Christmas now at this point with
why
Star
not?
Wars.
There's no Potter, there's no Hobbit. Why not?
Yep. It's completely
Why
theirs
not make
now.
it their number one Christmas film every single year?
And now that they own December, like no film studio is going to want to go up against them. So they've got that space as long as they keep making movies, basically. So overall, how do you feel about Rogue One? Are you excited? Are you ambivalent?
I'm excited to learn more about Star Wars. What I will do is watch the Star Wars, all of them, before Rogue One.
I would definitely say watch all of them, all the ones that are out at the moment before you see Rogue One.
Yeah, but I want to watch them with someone who knows. So, like, ideally, like, you know, if I could watch them with you, I could be like, what's this? Who's that? Like, what's going on here? I thought they were brother and sister, all that sort of stuff, you know?
I think I'll probably forget by then, but I would like to think, even though we've already done like our mini-series on Star Wars, I would like to do, nearer to Christmas, an episode where me and you sit down after you've just watched all of Star Wars, basically, and then get your thoughts on the whole thing. I think that would be really good.
It will be mostly questions from me to you.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm like, okay. That makes sense now.
Oh, Jar Jar was behind it all. I see. Interesting.
Oh.
On that note,
go watch Rogue One when it comes out.
Go watch it. I'm sure we'll talk about it more between now and then. Before we go, I just want to take a few moments to talk about our Twitter. You can follow us at MRexPodcast. That is at MRexPodcast. Feel free to send us a message or a tweet. It doesn't matter what it's about, even if it's a question, a suggestion for what you want to see for a future show, anything. We will try and get back to you. We're getting a bit more of a following now, so if you want to talk to us through that, that would be the best way to interact with the show. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
I can't really say until next time now, because you said the next time, so...
Oh, sorry. You
butchered that. I agreed it beforehand, and you just come in and fucking steamrolled it.
All right, okay. I'll let you. I'll say something different, and then you can say.
This is why I wanted to arrange a sign-off line beforehand, but you were fucking about.
I'm sorry.
This is why I said to arrange it beforehand, so we don't get in this mess.
It's bye from Hooch. That's your cue.
Right. Okay. All right.
Right. So it's bye from Hooch.
And from Bruce. Until next time. Did that sound right?
That sounded great. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
We're gonna live on. We're gonna survive. July 4th will no longer be an American holiday, but a holiday shit. You know what I'm doing here? Independence Day? No?
Let's go on the show, shall we?
One of the greatest speeches in film history. Anyway.
I used to look up at the stars and wonder about I'm placing the stars, and now I'm placing the dirt. Reconnaissance.
Murph. I'm coming back.
When? Shut the fuck up.